All right, we have some brand new OTA changes today. I glanced over them a little bit this morning, but I haven't really had any time to digest them or really look at anything. So we'll kind of just give our initial thoughts of everything. Also, everyone say hi to YouTube. Say hi to YouTube. This is Binks Extra, by the way. Not regular Binks, Binks Extra. Very exciting. If you're sub to Binks, but not Binks Extra, check down below. So today was all buffs. All buffs is awesome. I love all buffs. Buffs are cool. Buffs are very exciting. I am a big fan of games that just constantly buff cards that aren't getting enough play. And that's what Second Dinner, I feel like, when they made the switch to OTAs, that was a big thing that they, wanted to do. And I think it's super cool. So, first one we have is Hawkeye. A 1/1 on reveal when you play a card here, +2 power, changed to +3 power. So Hawkeye now has Ant-Man level stats with needing to be able to play a card directly on top of it. So a 1 power buff for a 1-drop is pretty crazy, man. I really do think Hawkeye is actually pretty good now. From a pure power perspective, it's still hard to put Hawkeye into any deck as opposed to Nebula. But I mean, Ant-Man level power on Hawkeye is pretty crazy. There's a huge buff to Cerebro 4 if you're one of the maniacs who is trying to make Cerebro 4 work. Very strong 1-drop in early pool 1, pool 2. I mean, even all the way through pool 2. Even through pool 3. This is still going to be one of the premium 1-drops at a 1/4. I mean, think about this. Like, a lot of people still play Ant-Man, and especially in more aggressive decks, right? So think about this card versus Ant-Man. What's easier to trigger? Is it easier to fully fill a lane, guaranteeing you'll fully fill it, and having to fully fill it to get the response? Or is it easier to just play this on one turn and then play it on top of it the next turn? I don't know. I mean, I think that this might probably see play over Ant-Man. The problem with Ant-Man is that most people have kind of gotten rid of it now that Nebula came around. Nebula kind of bounced Ant-Man really hard. Yeah, bounce is very interesting for this too, right? You could play this, get +3 on it, replay it. I mean, in many ways, this is like Medusa in bounce, but half the cost and 1 less power, right? And it scales the exact same way that you can scale Medusa. So I think that there is hope for Hawkeye. I think that if you're running an aggressive deck, I think if Killmonger's around, right now it's really hard to run any 1-drop decks because Killmonger's everywhere. If the meta changes so that Killmonger's not around as much, cards like Hawkeye become very, very interesting to try and include in your deck. 1 energy for 4 power is really great, man. If this was a 6-drop, and you look at the 1-to-4 ratio, it'd be like a 24 power 6-drop. You're looking at like HE Hulk levels, right? So I really think that as a 1-drop, this could definitely see some play. It'll probably see a little bit more play rate. Maybe people will mess around with Cerebro 4 because now you have multiple cards to mess around with Cerebro 4. You now have Rocket Raccoon, Ant-Man, and Hawkeye that you can put in Cerebro 4 as 1-drops, which is pretty huge because Rocket Raccoon was very hard to guarantee. You can even no, you can't run Dr. Doom. You can run Dr. Doom. You run Dr. Doom Yellow Jacket, right? So I think that the Hawkeye one's interesting. I don't know how much play it'll see just because there's one cost cards that outclass it, mostly Nebula, and Killmonger's around a lot. But it's pretty interesting. Hulkbuster. 3/4 merge with a friendly card to 3/5. So super primo statted 3-drop now. 3/5 is a lot of value. Obviously, this probably makes more of an impact in like just old school move decks. Probably shows up much because it was getting cut a lot in like old school move decks, I feel like, for quite a while. But hopefully it will get a little bit better. Hello. It is very silly.
It's very cute.
So Hulkbuster as a 3/5 is very interesting. I mean, like 3/5 is a lot of power. That's like Polaris stats. It's kind of the only one. I guess like Negasonic is pretty good too. But being at the point where you can just run this in like just maybe aggro decks even. Like when you think about it, like just adding a 3 for 3 energy, getting +5 to a card. That's almost as good as like Ironheart without needing the ability to like have 3 cards on the field by turn 3, which is really, really hard. So it takes a while. Yeah, it's very interesting. Oh, they even say make Hulkbuster for its potential combo with next week's season pass card. They don't talk about any cards that they haven't officially announced, but they're talking about Dakin there. I don't know if people know Dakin, but it's a 3/4 that adds a 1/1 to your hand, where if you discard or destroy it, you double Dakin's power. So you could play like this. You could play the Hulkbuster on top of it. Actually, it's interesting because it's probably worse now for that. Because now you get Dakin to a 3. Now you'd be pushing Dakin to a 3/9, where he could get Shang-Chi'd before he gets doubled. Very interesting. Yeah, maybe it starts to see some play in Deadpool again. It was never played in Deadpool because it used to like change the cost of it as well, not just the power. But then they adjusted it so that it doesn't affect the cost anymore. So it'd be really interesting. 1 power buff doesn't look like much. I feel like a 1 power buff is a lot in any of these cards. So maybe Hulkbuster finds some play outside of like those combo decks where you're trying to double its power, just as a 3/5 that doesn't take up space. It's the strongest positive effect 3-drop. I mean, if you count Polaris as not a positive effect, I would definitely count Polaris as a positive effect if you're using it properly. Very cool. Very interesting to see how this works. I don't know if Hulkbuster really goes over the top, but he probably sees more play in decks that it was getting cut from. Would probably be the big thing. Vision from a 5/7 to a 5/8. It says Vision has only really seen play a long time ago in Lockjaw deck. He's really found a home since then with 3 cards like Venus Force that fulfill similar roles. Vision fell by the wayside. Giving him a bit more power will keep him below the Shang-Chi threshold. Very cool to keep it under the Shang-Chi threshold. I think that's quite important. Yeah, honestly, if you're looking at Hulkbuster, right, like Hulkbustering a multiple man is kind of the same as Phoenix Forcing it, except you don't get the buff of being able to change. It's kind of interesting. So Vision, does it start to see play in Lockjaw decks again? Maybe. 1 power is still quite a bit. I think that at any level. I think that 5/8s are really strong. Again, even in like the Thanos 5x5 deck, Vision might be something you'd be interested in. Or in any Lockjaw Thanos deck, Vision probably becomes a lot better, getting just that extra little bit of power while staying under Shang-Chi stats. So I think that if you're running any like Thanos Lockjaw deck, Vision becomes a much more intriguing card to add in. Cerebro 5 Vision. Oh, Captain Marvel. That's what you mean, probably. I think it's pretty important. I think it's pretty important that this got a little bit of power, stays under the 9. I could see this coming back into play in like Lockjaw decks and stuff like that. Now, Captain Marvel, this is the one that I think is maybe the best change, or the biggest or most impactful change. Because Captain Marvel is seeing play as a 5/6. And going down 1 cost, getting into Zabu range, it makes it so much easier to want to play this card, because with your 5 cost cards, you want to be incredibly impactful, right? You need to have a lot of impact from your 5 power cards, or 5 cost cards, because it's a really expensive thing to play. You know, if you're not ramping, you can only play it on the last 2 turns. There's just so many really cool things happening regarding that. So really happy to see this change of Captain Marvel. I think it's I think that this sees a lot more play. I think it's Zabu decks. It's a huge consideration. I mean, there's that really focused Zabu deck right now with like Iron Lad, Enchantress, basically like all the tech cards. Enchantress, you run like Shang-Chi, you run Darkhawk, you run Rock Slide, you run all this. Maybe Captain Marvel finds a spot there and something to throw in. Might be good in Legion decks. Nah, not really. I don't see it really working too much in Legion decks. I guess like Zabu on 2, Captain Marvel on 3 is pretty strong, but usually you don't really want to do that too much. But I think that Zabu is going to be really, really tough to deal with. We'll see there. Yeah, I really think that people will start experimenting a lot with Captain Marvel, and I think any Zabu deck has to have a real consideration. Because at a 4/5, you're almost at premium stats at a 4/6, and it just gives you so many more outs for winning the game, which is really nuts. Absorbing Man, old 4 energy 3 power. On reveal, if the last card you played had an on reveal, copy its text. If it's in play, that changes 4/3 to a 4/5. +2 power on Absorbing Man. I already thought Absorbing Man was probably like underplayed. I feel like a lot, like there are certain decks where people will run Wong when Absorbing Man is just as strong, if not better in some cases, because of the extra power, and because like playing a card and then playing Absorbing Man is less telegraphed than playing Wong and then playing a card. They could Cosmo it, they can Enchantress it, lots of really things. And the biggest thing is like if you're playing Wong on turn 4, it's gonna get Absorbing, right? And they have Enchantress, they're usually gonna have priority, right? Because it's just really rough. Yeah, turn 7 Galactus nerf or Puff, so true. Kind of. It doesn't really matter too much for the turn 7 Absorbing Man, but it doesn't hurt for sure. Definitely not a turn 7 Galactus nerf. You want priority with turn 7 Galactus. Absorbing Man with Brute. Yeah, dude. Holy, dude. Absorbing Man in every Surfer deck now? Dude, absolutely put Absorbing Man in every Surfer deck. Holy crap, dude. I used to really push for the Brood Absorbing Man line. Wow. Oh, nerf to Goblin Abzan. That's actually a really funny point. Holy. Add Dazzler in there too? Don't stop putting Dazzler in your decks. Stop trying to make Dazzler happen. So although he's an exciting line of text, Absorbing Man has struggled to find a deck to shine in. Absorbing Man draws a lot of parallels to Wong. Share cost, double on reveal. Wong has a few advantages. He played proactively and more effective at enabling plays turn 5 and 6. And obviously, I mean, the Odin combo with Wong goes really crazy, right? Wong also affects multiple turns, or Absorbing Man also only activates once. We're giving Absorbing Man a sizable chunk of power to make him more viable to experiment with. At this point, you probably run Zabu and Wong as well and go full on reveal route. That could be pretty cool. Probably a lot of really, really awesome things that could happen. Really a lot of awesome things that can happen there. Well, but overall, I mean, I can see Absorbing Man getting used a lot more in Surfer. I already thought Absorbing Man was really strong in Surfer, but now it's really hard to want to cut him from Surfer if you're not going the negative Surfer route. Brood on 3, Absorbing Man on 4 is crazy in Surfer. Crazy, because the Broodlings are still 3 cost. So Absorbing Man's, we're probably going to see him in a lot of Surfer. Plus, if you're running a Sarah Surfer deck, you could play Sarah on 5, and then you could play Surfer Absorbing Man on 6. So there's multiple different ways that you can utilize Surfer with Absorbing Man. Super, super, super powerful. No, wait. This works with Mr. Sinister as well. This absolutely works with Mr. Sinister as well. Wave on 4, Wave, Doom, Abzan, Odin. Yeah, Abzan might see some play in some of these like more rampy style decks. There also used to be in like any of those ramp decks, Absorbing Man was pretty good when Leader was so strong, because you could go Wave, Leader, Absorbing Man, and then you could Odin the leaders, and then you just get a million cards. Shuri Abzan. Shuri Abzan gets a lot stronger. Very true. But like Shuri, like the final turn with Zombie, you could play like Shuri Abzan Yellow Jacket to get 1,000,000 power. But the Shuri Abzan thing, it kind of all lands in one lane, which is a little bit weird. Yeah, Abzan Brood I think is gonna be crazy. So hopefully that's hopefully people start playing in the Surfer. Maybe we'll mess around with that. Maybe we'll throw in the one going deck. We'll see what we want to do. Maybe I kind of want to make an absorbing deck today, but we'll see. It's gonna be really powerful. Conquest tuning changes. In addition to the balance changes, this OTA also includes some tuning changes. The metal earn rates in Conquest. Metal earn rates in Silver greatly increased. Metal earn rates in Golden Infinite slightly increased. So big change to Silver. Decent change to Gold, decent change to Infinity. I mean, this just helps everyone. This helps. It's just good for everyone, man. Just really good. No problems here. I mean, you just get extra things. More new stuff is cool. Now you're going to be getting more gold tickets too. So the gold tickets, you know, if you use them, you'll get more medals. They made the medals go higher. They might even make it go a little bit higher. But I think it would be interesting to look at how this has scaled versus how the shop changes scale. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's an OTA. Again, I really love buffs. I think that they should keep buffing things all the time. Buffs, more buffs. Buffs always. Keep getting a bunch of buffs. Very exciting. Yeah, go second dinner. Also, this is the extra channel, so make sure to subscribe if you're watching on the extra channel. Okay, goodbye now.